Coach, if you'd like to start us off with an opening statement.
Yeah, good to see everybody from a couple of nights ago. I don't know if I have anything. I don't know if I have anything new for you guys at this point, but I'm glad to answer whatever questions you guys might have, and kind of as we get ready to kind of wrap up the regular season here, and then kind of get prep for postseason and make as deep of a run as we can make it.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about Hannah Horton, if you expected her to be back in lineups for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think we're going to be able to. I think we're hopeful that we'll get her back up and running. I think we got a little more practice this week that we honestly have to work through a little bit. But we got back in the gym yesterday and we're training. And she did a good job. And I think made some progress there. I think it's just going to be depend on the event that we're putting her in. I think we're hopeful to get her back on floor this weekend. She was kind of in and out of bar lineup in the first place. So I don't know if that was something we're really withholding her from over there. It's just more of who's the most ready. So for her, it's really just floor and vault. Those are probably our main two events right there. So with vault, maybe this weekend, I would say probably not on vault this weekend. I think I think if we're trying to make some corrections and get some things that can take us some time. And if we try to do it too early, then we kind of burn that bridge a little bit. So I think we'll get her up and running on vault. She's actually going, but whether it's in competition or not. So I think the goal for vault is really just to get her moving and get her ready for SEC championships. For floor, I would anticipate that we should be we're probably a little bit ahead of that. So hopefully getting her back up and running for floor this weekend in some capacity.
Yeah, so you talked about how Hannah had a lot of the twisties on floor. How do you deal with the gymnasts to help fix that?
Yeah, you just step back to the root stuff. I mean, there's just like anything in school or life, like we all have some basics and some root stuff that we can step back to. So we got to just step back to those things, some of those kind of drill work and some progressions, and just step back and kind of figure out where the roadblock is, and then kind of attack that little kind of progression right there. And get back to it, and just kind of rebuild a little bit of the refinement, not only from a mechanical and standpoint, but also from a confidence standpoint too. So that's kind of what we're doing right now, and that's where we attacked it. And you work a little bit with our sports psych people and just see if we can attack it from some different angles, and just kind of rebuild that confidence right there. It's a kid never wants to make a mistake. They a lot of times just don't understand where the solution lies, or where the fix lies, and sometimes as coaches we don't either. So it's a little bit of a search and find, and a little bit of a kind of a method right there. But we're working on it and hopeful to get her up and running.
So is there like a different sort of tumbling pass that she can do that doesn't, I don't know, use as many twists? I don't know the
Yeah,
technical terms
no,
very
you're right,
much.
Karen. Yep. And we had actually already had that change for last weekend, as a matter of fact. That was we had already changed that tumbling pass that she was having some issues on over there. So you're right. Sometimes the easiest solution is a different solution. So we did that, but you can't do that everywhere all the time. So inherently gymnastics has some twisting, but you can limit it and kind of try to control it in the short term at least. So
Shannon, heading into this last regular season meet, what are you wanting to see from your team heading into SEC play or
yeah,
SEC tournament?
yeah, absolutely. I think anything we're looking to see there, we obviously want to work. We want to get established a little bit better this weekend. So it's we're not just trying to do it as we move into next week. I think, hey, look, a lot of great things. Listen, we're top 15, we're top 20, honestly, on every event. So there's a lot of good out there. I think it's easy to, and I'm certainly a realist, but there's a lot of good. Like, hey, look, we've got our highest NQS in history, right? We're top 20 on every event we're top 15 on 3 events, we're top 10 on 2 events. So there's a lot of good out there, right? There's a lot of good stuff. We've just been a little inconsistent. And our goal every year is to reach maximum potential. And if we're reaching maximum potential regardless of the score, that's a good thing, right? Now that's where this year I think we feel a little unsatisfied, is because we know that our maximum potential is higher, right? We obviously, it's obvious that it's higher, regardless of what the stats are and the numbers are. So I think that's where that kind of empty feeling a little bit with our team, it doesn't sit well with them either, on that end. So I think that's really the main goal, is like, look, let's figure out what we are capable of. Obviously, if from the numbers standpoint, if we look at it and we're going low to mid 197s with some obvious errors in there, that tells us, like, look, our max potential, from, if we can put a score on it, is an upper 197, right? I think that's a very reasonable thing. So and again, I'm not so concerned with the score at this point. As we get into postseason, it's more about rankings, right? So now we're going to shift gears here, not this weekend necessarily, but as we get into SECs and regionals and that, the score doesn't really matter at that point. We just have to be top, the top X number of teams, right? So, if we go into SEC championships and we walk out and let's say we're in our session and we win our session, hey, whatever the score is, the score is. We're more concerned about rankings at that point. Like, are we the top team? Are we the top 2 teams? So we can continue to advance, right? It's a lot like, it's a lot like NCAA basketball at this point. Once we get into the tournament, it doesn't matter if you scored 50 points or 60 points or 70 points. It's survive and advance at that point. So now obviously we got to do some things to make sure that we are able to do that. So to answer your first question, really, look, we got to do better on our vaults, right? We obviously have to stick better, and we worked on that quite a bit yesterday over there. The good thing about beam, I know that's been a little bit of an up and down event for us this year. The good thing about beam last weekend compared to the weekend prior is that we did have 4 really good hits, right? Now the scores were almost the same. Actually, the score was lower this weekend than it was the weekend before. But I would prefer, to some degree, like, quality routines, even if we have a mistake. So now no mistakes would be great, right? We were probably 1 routine away over there from, being in that 49-3, walking away with a win last weekend, 3 wins last weekend. So I think just a little bit of a stronger mindset, a little bit of a more determined mindset on beam, taking care of some landings on vault a little bit. I did think vaulting, honestly, I went back and watched the video. I felt like it was a little tight on us on a few. I thought the scoring was a little bit tight. We can't control that. All we can do is control our end of it. But I did think we actually had, it was a little tight on a few of our vaults in comparison to maybe some other teams. But that's just the way it goes. So I think those are some of the things that we're working on. At this point it's just determination, but we've got the experience on our team to get the job done. We just have to obviously execute.
Yeah, you were talking a lot about last week about how you've been struggling with getting off to fast starts. How did you go about attacking that in practice, and what are you hoping to accomplish on Sunday?
Yeah, so we're going to start on bars on Sunday, and we'll go bars, beam, floor, vault. Bars has been a fairly strong event for us. So I'm hoping that will be kind of a little bit of a spark plug for us over there, and we could start on an event that's been a little bit scoring a little bit more consistently high. So I think that should be a nice change for us as well. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we can get going, get off to that strong start. And, I think a lot of times it's easy for them to, we're in a very critical sport, like self kind of critical sport. So it's easy for them to evaluate and go, oh man, I did terrible at this, or I did this. So I think just working a little bit more on a positive mindset throughout, and just understanding that, look, every play or every routine that we have is individual, right? It's just one at a time, right? We cannot wind the clock back and make up for the drop pass or the step on the dismount or whatever you want to call it, right? So we just have to continue to focus on what's next, because there's only offense, right? In our sport. So
So yeah, you talked a lot about, wanting to find that perfect beam lineup, and you saw you guys put up, 7 strong beam workers on Sunday, and then there's
Yep.
obviously people who didn't even compete on Sunday. So kind of what's your strategy going into this weekend with the beam lineup?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, we walked away with some good feedback, I thought, from last weekend. Obviously Grace Ann did a really nice job in that leadoff spot with led us off of the 9-9. So that was great. That's what we were looking for, right? Is somebody that can lead us off super strong. So I think that was the right move, putting her up there. Seems like she's got the kind of the confidence to get out there and get it done right off the bat. So that was good. Kennedy did a nice job in her first lineup. She's been in some exhibition spots, so that was nice. So she did a nice job there on that end. I think really just seeing, I'd like to see a little bit better leadership over there in competition from some of our upperclassmen, right? Sydney and Amaya really have the ability to knock it out of the park over there. And they just have not done that yet consistently. And so I think, they know that they need to step it up. So I think, if once we get them online and just get them squared away, then really they've got the scoring potential. So that's the nice thing over there. And then Amari did a nice job in that 5th spot, and then Sienna obviously did what Sienna does over there and goes up and cranks out 9-9 plus routines. So there is a lot of good. Now, I would say, Khalees did a nice job in the exhibition spot, so she's definitely in the mix. I think with Khalees, really, we've just been looking for some consistency in practice. It's not that she can't do it, right? But what you guys don't see is, kind of the consistency of what we see on a daily in and out basis, right? And I think that's an opportunity for Khalees to get a shot in an actual lineup is, can she, can we do it on a daily basis, right? Not just, one time or that. So I was really proud of her and excited for her. Now I'd like to see that, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? Not, on there. So, but she's definitely in the conversation for a spot over there. So we'll kind of have to see how the rest of this week plays out a little bit before we can kind of have that answer right there. But I did like the lineup for last week, and I thought there was a good flow to it over there. And we'll see if we keep the exact same personnel or not. But at a certain point too, you got to kind of stay the course. We've made some we've been shifting that around a little bit. And you can't keep changing every week, right? I think you got to at least give it a couple of weeks in a row to get a little bit of a what's the average here, right? And then move forward too.
So not to get too far ahead, but like once the season is over, when do those kind of conversations start with the seniors and whether or not they may come back for another year or if they're done?
Karen, are you reading my notes on my desk? What's going on over there? So well, I'm gonna take a vacation and then I'm gonna, no, I'm kidding. We actually, I think we'll probably have a little better idea on that within the next couple of weeks here on there. I think we've already started having some of those conversations. You just kind of have those along the way, some little check-ins, and so I think we'll have a little better idea in the next couple of weeks here, and and who's coming back. I certainly think we're going to have a couple. Obviously Sienna and Holland are out of eligibility, so those are not options, unfortunately. But although I think Sienna would take a 6th and 7th year if she could. But on there, I would say so. Holland's finished, Sienna's finished because they're out of eligibility. Alana is graduating early, so I think that's just more of her. Just she's got some other life goals, and just I think the body's kind of just done with gymnastics, quite honestly. So on there, so that obviously you can do the math and figure out who those other 3 or 4 people are that would potentially come back, and I think we'll have that. We'll have some answers for those things probably in the next week or so. Yep. Who do you want to come back? Is there anybody? I'll let them know. You guys, yeah, you like Mara? I'll tell them.
Sydney.
Yep. So
All of them.
All of them.
well, yeah. So obviously, Sydney's got another year. Amaya, Mara, and Kira. Those 4 all have additional years. If they want to take them and if things work out. So So we'll update you guys probably in the next couple weeks. All right. So maybe sooner. We'll see. So
Yeah, having a lot of the freshmen in your lineup that you do have, they've never experienced something like this coming up with the SEC championships. How can you prepare them for something like that?
I think we've been preparing for it all year long, quite honestly. I mean, you go into the crowd at SEC championships going to be smaller than some of the crowds at some of the meets that we go to, quite honestly. So from a crowd size, now the venue's nice, but we go to nice venues all year long. We're on podium, but we were in podium in St. Louis. So so I think yeah, it's a big deal, but we've been doing that stuff. We've been in high pressure situations all year long. So I really I feel like we've done our due diligence. I feel like if we hadn't had them in lineups and this was like their first or second meet, you're right. I think I'd be a little more concerned. But we've been at Alabama. We've been in front of 7,000 plus at home. We've been at a podium in St. Louis. We've been to Georgia. We've been, so we've been to a lot of big venues in some high pressure situations. So I think they're ready to go, quite honestly. Cool. Well, I think that's I think we're on the home stretch here. We've talked about a lot of things. I appreciate you guys following us all year long and having the interest in our sport that you do. Certainly we've got some goals for our team and they're doing a good job. So I don't want it to seem all negative. We just have more. We're capable. I think everybody can see we're clearly capable of more. They're doing well, right? On the national landscape, right? We're struggling. We're at 13th in the country. All right. So I mean, I think we got to just put some things in perspective there, on that end and, on there. So they're doing well. We can see it in them, all of us, right? And as coaches and that. So yeah, we're just kind of working towards that and taking that final step. But I have some confidence in them. They're going to bear down and grit it out. I think, if history has shown us anything with our team and our program, one of the things that we have shown is that we've got the ability to pick it up in postseason. And I certainly think that will be the case as we move forward this year too.
Sienna should be using an extra year of eligibility and come back as a softball pitcher. I mean, she had a really good first pitch the other day.
I didn't even know she was doing that. I'll have to ask her about that. I saw the pictures, so maybe I'll change her last name and see if we can get her some more eligibility. And so, but no, she's doing great, and we're excited for her. And I think she's looking forward to the postseason, and it should be a lot of fun. So we'll see. We'll talk to you guys next week after Illinois, and we'll talk about a lot of the success and where we're at as a team and what's going on for the following week. But it should be exciting, and we're excited to hit this weekend. I think everybody's ready to kind of get things settled in and make some steps forward here. And I think we'll see that. I do. I feel like we got a shift going on right now, and just some determination more than I've felt in the last couple of weeks. So on there, but thank you guys. Have a great lunch and have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys next week. Okay.